One night, I was in bed sleeping, and I was breathing, and it was really hard, and I remembered that I went out of my body. I breathed in, and I couldn't get enough air, and then I floated out up near the ceiling, looking down at my body. As I looked down on my body, it looked really small to me. I turned around, and on the wall was this big hole. It was a black hole, and so I put my head down and went inside of it. It was like a cylinder, and it had little rectangular glass pieces, like it was glued on the side, and it went around in a circle. As I went by, I put my hand out to touch it. The pieces of rectangular glass, and each one had color, pink and purple, blue and red, all different colors. Pretty soon I can feel my body moving faster, and the light began to pull, so the light looked very long. Like long streams, I was floating through the light, down to the end of the tunnel. Then I got to the end and climbed out of it. And all of a sudden, I found myself standing on some steps to a huge castle. It was the biggest castle I'd ever seen in my life, and it was made of clear crystal. It looked like glass and made a hum, and had all kinds of colors in it. I was standing on the step, and there was this man standing there in sandals, in a white dress, with a white rope around his waist all the way to the floor. He bent over and asked me if I'd come to see him. I had said yes, that I had come to see him. He asked me then if I had a gift, and I said no, I had forgot it. I left and forgot my gift. So we had to go in the garden and get a gift. I saw a garden with flowers. The flowers, when I saw them, sang. My flowers would sing in a higher note, but if it was dark or dark purple, it would sing in a low note. And they danced, they moved, and they sang, and they had faces. I didn't pick the flowers because I felt like I would have cried if I picked them out of the earth. But I found a little mouse, and we found a box to put the mouse in. So we get the mouse in the box, and this man with the white dress and sandals is walking along with me. And I keep thinking, I have to see him. I have to see him right away. And all of a sudden, we're in this long hallway with a bunch of very tall, dark wooden doors that open from the middle. When he opens the doors, there is this big echo sound, and he must have done it at least 12 times. And at the last door at the bottom, there was this gold light. You could see it coming from under the door, and he opened it, and there was this beautiful gold light that came out of the doorway. You couldn't see anything. The light was too strong, and suddenly, the person who helped me find the mouse was gone. All of a sudden, I was standing in a very, very large room. It was made of rock, and in the middle of this room was a chair. It was a wooden chair that had all kinds of carvings on it, and there was a young man who sat in it. He was wearing white also, but had a red shawl. He asked me to come there, so I sat on his lap and I showed him the mouse, and he was very happy to get the mouse, and we talked to the mouse a little bit. Then I told him I wanted to go home, that I wanted to come home to stay. That was my home. Where I had been, that was my home in the castle. He said I was not done here. I had to go back. You must go back to your body. It's not time for you to be in the castle with me yet. When I sat on his lap and said that I wanted to go home, I said I wanted to stay here. I don't like it down there. They are mean and cruel. I wanted to stay here. And then he said to me, I grieve for what they have done to you, and I grieve for what they do to each other. But you must go back, because you promised me you would. Because you promised me you would do it this time. I said, could I do it another time? No, you must do it this time, because you promised me. I said I wanted to stay there a little longer, and he said okay, and he said to me he wanted me to meet his mother. His mother wore white also, but she had a blue shawl. She was very tall. These were very tall people. They looked to me to be about 7 feet. She was very nice. She had very pretty eyes. The mother and her son both had gold around their body. There was this gold light that came off of them. Everything was gold white, the colors that came off of them. The flowers had lights around them too. We went back to the garden with his mother, and we stayed there for a long time, until it was time for me to go back. After a long time, I went back to that same room, and he was no longer there. But 2 people came to help me through a doorway. There was a doorway in the room, and that was where I went back through the tunnel and back into my body.